Have you ever just wanted to disappear for a while? No text, no calls, no social media, just silence, just to take a step back and, really take care of yourself. That's what people call going ghost. Going ghost is probably one of the most effective ways of self-care. Suddenly cutting off your communication and, going silent from social media and all the outside influences can really help you develop and become the person you want to become. It's so easy to get distracted and fall into the loop of doing everything that, society deems normal, going out to party, engaging with a lot of partners, always being outside, always waste your time. But it's all just a distraction. It takes away from what you really should do and what's really, the purpose of being on this earth. And, when we go ghost, it's not always because you're mad or you're tired or overwhelmed. Sometimes you're just done. And that's exactly why I went ghost. And it's for myself, It's just about doing things to get to that mental health and that mental clarity and, remove the fog from your brain and become the best version of yourself. Going ghost, it's not about ignoring people or being shady or, just the social media aspect of it. It's also about just stepping away from that constant noise so you can reconnect with yourself. It's not a revenge or a punishment or something you're doing to, punish yourself, but it's more so something that you're doing from a place of seeking peace. I know in this day and age, it's easy to get overstimulated. You're always online, you're always available. You got a million texts on your phone, a million deadlines, a million group chats, a lot of drama, and it's just a lot of mental overload, and that can really affect your identity. You're not even sure who you are without the influence of others. You can't even hear your own thoughts. You got so much fog, and it just creates that space so you can hear your own thoughts, and also just, we go through that emotional burnout, depression, anxiety, everything, it's just sometimes you just need to quiet it all down and refill your emotional tank. Social media has trained us to overexpose ourselves. There's pressure to perform and, everybody wants to post that pic of the good dinner they had or, that place they went to or that trip they took. And, behind that, it's not even there. You know what I mean? They might be in crippling debt to go take that trip or whatever the case may be. But we just so adamant on trying to, display our best moments. But that's not real life. We all go through stuff. We all got our super highs and our super, super lows. Some days I have really good days where I feel like I'm the man and I just feel so good. And other days I crash. And in those crashes, I just feel like the best way is to just, when you hit rock bottom, you kind of got to sit in that hurt. When you go through those pain and those breakups and, you don't get those opportunities and you might fail, you kind of got to sit with that feeling for a little bit and truly understand it. It's easy to drown it out by, going to get some alcohol, or I'm going to go out tonight, or I'm going to have sex, or I'm going to watch this. And you know what I mean? It's easy to drown out those emotions instead of facing them head on, and that's just why, when you go on ghost, that silence is your information. You learn, what pressures you learn how your clock ticks. You realize, which relationships are based off depth or one of is just off lust. You hear your intuition more clearly. You hear God more clearly, most importantly. You always hear, that those voices and that Holy Spirit in you and that intuition, that gut feeling, it starts to become louder and you start to really get in tune with your mind and your body. So when we vanish and when you go ghost, I want you to use the time intentionally. While you're off the grid, it's not a time to just relax, really, take that space and learn yourself, clean your room, clean your space, go take a walk in silence, no headphones, no nothing, journal, write down your goals and what you want to accomplish and why you think you're here, read a book, read something, read the Bible, create something, not about whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's something. If we don't want to do social media, make a drawing, do some notes, make some music. Really, you could do anything. Make you a little video, whatever. Just do something that is gonna, get your brain flowing. And then when you're ready to come back, if you're ready, and when you're done, you probably gonna come back and be 10 times, the person you are. When you come back, you're not gonna be the same version of yourself. And when you reintroduce yourself to the people around you and the people it's gonna be slow, it's gonna be honest, and it's gonna be intentional. And you're gonna be able to clearly choose who and what gets your energy moving forward. You'll be in a lot better headspace to make those decisions and live life in the way you really want to live life. Because I know, just like me, when we go to sleep and when we close our eyes, we got the vision. Like, we know where we want to be. I see it every day. When I go to sleep, or when I'm daydreaming or whatever, I know exactly where I want to be. And I feel like we all feel the same way. There's certain things in our life that we want, and sometimes it's hard to stay on that path to go and get it. But that's why you got to cut out all the distractions so you can really become that version that you see. Like, I know I'm so passionate about this because I know you see the version of yourself that you want to be, that person that you look up to, that person that you can become. And the reason why you see it is because it already happened. It's already written in stone. You wouldn't even have that intuition and that drive to even accomplish those goals if it wasn't already something that happened. You're going to be aligned on the frequency of stuff that is meant for you. That's just kind of how it is. But I just want to let you guys know that going ghosted isn't running away. Sometimes it's about walking back towards who you're meant to be, and you just doing it quietly. It doesn't have to be announced. It doesn't have to be something that everybody knows about. And if you ever going ghost, to heal, like, y'all let me know in the comments, like, drop something, let me know. I really want to hear y'all stories, because I really do appreciate everything. Like, even if I get one view on the video, I appreciate that one view. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's been your boy, Not My Forte. Like, subscribe, and make sure y'all take care of yourself first. And I'm out, bro. Peace.